What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be recapping the Vancouver Regionals in its entirety. And if you missed it, you missed a doozy, man. You missed some groundbreaking historic news because Behzad Muntazir, the person that you see on my screen, was able to take it all the way with, drumroll please, Lunala here, right? And I'm so glad Behzad was able to do that. You know, people have asked me, you see the 6 Pokemon at the bottom of my screen here? You know, I believed in Lunala since day one, right? And people keep asking me in the comment section in some of my videos, Clover, what's with the 6 at the bottom of your screen? Why is Lunala there? And I said, you know what? Look, Lunala just needs the right time to come into the meta and do what it needs to do. But the expanding force tailwind stuff is good. You just have to believe and you just have to be willing to explore it. And that is why I tweeted this with this quote over here. To be part of the 1%, you have to be willing to do what the other 99% will not do. And that is exactly what Behzad did. So shout outs to Behzad. And, you know, if you recall about a week and a half ago, when I put out our rentals, I put out a Lunala team as well, because Lunala's in a pretty good spot right now. And there was a reason why I did not release a Lunala team in the beginning. I waited a little bit. I wanted to see where the meta would shift. And when the meta was in a right spot, that's when I released the Lunala rental for the month of March. Behzad says, you know what, Clover? You're right. Lunala is in a good spot, and it is a good call for this tour. And here we are. Lunala is a Scarlet and Violet regional winner here. So we're going to look at Behzad's team here. We're going to also recap the other squads that did well. We're going to look at usage rates. We're going to look at popular cores and other niche Pokemon that also stole the show from the regional. We got a lot to talk about here. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and start with the usage data. All right, so this is day 1 usage. Again, we spoke about this in our day 1 video, so we're not really going to dwell on this so much here, but I will show you the day 2 conversion, right? Look at this. It's just no surprise at this point. Like all 3 of these, Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Urshifu, they all increase in usage, right? Look, your Urshifu went from 49 to 60%. Amoonguss, big jump, 27 to 41%. Even Incineroar had a bit of a spike, 32 to 36%. The deeper you go into the top teams, the more these guys are going to show up, because these are the best balanced mons. They're going to give you great chances to win. They do a lot of damage. They do a lot of support. And they're just excellent staples for your restricteds, right? And then, of course, Rillaboom also fits in that category as well, 29% there, also getting a nice little bump there. But what also enters the day 2 that was not in day 1 was the Ogerpon Cornerstone here, 19% there. You know, again, Sturdy is busted. Rock type coverage is great. Look at how many of these things don't want to be taking IV Cudgel here. So like Incin, Ogerpon, and even Chio, they don't want to be taking, you know, IV Cudgels, especially of the rock variant. Same thing with Fluttermane over here. And then you have grass coverage for the Urshifu. You know, you can get around Amoonguss that way. You can even hit this Landorus too. Not with the grass move, but well, technically too with the grass move, but also with your IV Cudgel. So like, there's just, you know, not too much drawback from using the Cornerstone. The fact that you have a fast Ogerpon that can, you know, take a hit because you have Sturdy. And then, you know, from here, Flutterfish is still strong. You know, just look at how much priority there is on this top 12 bracket here. Your Fergraph just denies that, sets up Trick Room, has Foul Play for the Calyrex. This Landorus is always going to be good, you know, for Miraidon stuff. It can KO a Chiyu because, again, you outspeed it by 1 point, which is huge. You pressure the Incineroar for that matter. You have poison coverage against the Terra Fairy stuff. This Landorus is very, very good. And then just, of course, Heart Flame, Ogerpon, and Chien-Pao. Tons of physical damage, especially when you Terra this thing. You get a free +1 attack boost there. And then Raging Bolt can do Raging Bolt things. You know, speed control with Electro Web, Volt Switch for pivot potential, big Draco Meteor Nuke. Okay, very bulky. And, of course, priority Thunderclap for this guy, right? Of course. So that much has not changed amongst the non-restricteds. And it shouldn't, right? We're already almost 6 months into this format. So it's just a matter of like, what are my balance pieces that are like really, really good right now amongst these 12? They're just going to be flip-flopping back and forth depending on the regional and depending on where you're playing and who. Now, in terms of the restricteds, again, this is what we saw in day 1. And for the longest time, we've been saying Miraidon, Ice Rider, and Shadow Rider, these guys are going to be flip-flopping between 1, 2, and 3 depending on the region. But look what happens in day 2. Hello, Zamazenta overtaking the Miraidon a little bit there. 11.5%, dipping down to 4th. I never would have thought that Miraidon would dip below the top 3 there. And here we are. Okay, but you know who else drops out and who else drops in? Goodbye, Groudon. Hello, Lunala. Okay, maybe now Lunala can get a little bit more of a surge now that it has taken that first place regional win there. Pagos continues to struggle here at 6.6%. It's pretty much the same percentage. But again, you did see a 4th place Terapagos team there with the hyper offensive variant, right? And then Koraidon, again, a little bit of a drop there, but still trying its best, hanging in there. Ogre, again, also a small dip there, you know, down to 8.2%. But this is exactly where I expect Kyogre to be in, as well as like Koraidon for that matter. I thought Pagos, it's still like a hair above some of these guys, but it just needs some different builds. I understand the Heatran variant is running around with the Screen Tail. Yes, we do have Alex's team with the hyper offensive Specs variant. Finally, right? I've been saying that for almost a month now. Played the Pagos that way, and here it is. But I never thought I would see Miraidon dip below the other guys like this. But hey, it may have just been an off weekend. You know, Miraidon is still very, very good. But now, let's see what Lunala can do versus something like Shadow Rider. Remember, these two have the same typing. And for the longest time, people have always said, Lunala, you're just working harder than you need to with the Shadow Rider, right? This has no drawback, Astro Barrage, okay? And at the same time, you're faster, you outspeed things, you can get the Beast Boost rolling. Lunala doesn't get any of that. But at the same time, Lunala can do a couple things that Shadow Rider can't do. You get a good fairy move, right? You get Moonblast, you could do Calm Mind sets with it. The expanding force spam is also very good with Indeedee. You can set up Trick Room that way if you want, right? And then let something else come in and take advantage of the Trick Room too. And then with the +1 Meteor Beam, you can remove Instant. Calyrex-Shadow Rider can't do that, okay? Shadow Rider cannot remove Instant with a Meteor Beam. And that's huge, because if you can do that, now all of a sudden, your +1 Moongeist Beams and your +1 Expanding Force is doing more damage than what a Shadow Rider would be doing. You know, of course, it can always just do Nasty Plot, but, you know, at the same time, look, you've got Bulk on your side. You've got Shadow Shield, okay? And that makes all the difference too, because you know how frail this thing is. It's not that frail, but it is way more frail than Lunala here, especially, you know, with Shadow Shield still intact. So as long as you can keep this thing healed up and, you know, alive and well, you can invest in your bulk, not too much in your special attack stat. This thing can take a lot of hits. It can survive, and then it can just win you the game, right? And we saw that in the finals when it was able to take a Glacial Lance from an Ice Rider, survive, and, you know, deal big damage with the Expanding Force, right? And then their Torkoal was just kind of useless after that. So, yeah, just, again, we'll see if opinions change moving forward now. But, hey, that is exactly what we saw from Lunala versus the Shadow Rider. So, we'll see if more people are willing to explore it now that it has that regional win. It has that, you know, that bragging right that it can do. So we'll see. But now from here, let's take a look at the, you know, the top 8 teams, and then of course the cores and the archetypes. Okay, so let's take a look at the top 8 results here from the regional. Of course, we're going to start with Behzad's team. So Behzad is actually following a similar formula that we presented in our Lunala team building video. So what is that formula? So basically you start with these two, Lunala and Indeedee, right? And Indeedee is one of the best partners for Lunala, you know, for what you want it to do. So if you're going to go with the Expanding Force Trick Room route, you're going to need redirection support. And then at the same time, you're going to need Psychic Terrain, right? Obviously. So Indeedee just, you know, is a clear-cut partner for it. You get to have Psychic Terrain to remove priority Sucker Punches against Lunala. That's not fun, especially when you're up against Chenpao. You have that redirection support to at least redirect some attacks away from the Lunala, so this way it can safely set up that Trick Room. And then at the same time, you could even have Helping Hand here for, you know, for a little bit more boosted damage. And then, you know, from here, you look at Lunala's speed tier. Okay, 97. It's not that fast, but it's not that slow either. So you can play this in Trick Room, but you can also play this relatively fast and go with a Tailwind setter. In this case, you could do something like Tornadus. I've seen Whimsicott. I've also seen Roaring Moon, which is exactly what Behzad was doing. So you can definitely, you know, pick a Tailwind setter, Okay, so this way you can play it like a fast mode, right? We'll keep the Roy Moon because this is what they use. And then you just slap on a physical breaker on the team, right? And the Urshifu just makes a lot of sense. You know, you can make trades. So this way Lunala can sweep in the end game once you remove the threat. So something like, you know, Incineroar is a threat to Lunala. Granted, you do have Miraidon, but you only have one of that. And if it doesn't go into the instant, then you're going to have a difficult time removing it. So the Urshifu can, you know, potentially pressure that Urshifu. I'm sorry, that Urshifu can potentially pressure that Incineroar. You can pressure Chant-Pals, especially, you know, if you have a Mystic Water variant Urshifu, right? And then at the same time, look, you just have a strong physical breaker on the team that can also pair well with Tailwind support and redirection, because you get to keep the Urshifu safe from harm's way and just keep clicking Surging Strikes, okay? And then after this, your last two is kind of up to you. And, you know, when we released our rental, we followed a relatively similar formula, right? So let me just run through the rentals that we put out. So this is our Lunala rental, right? You know, with Indeedee, the Ursha, Tailwind Setter. In this case, we opted for the Whimsicott. And then we committed a little bit more to the Trick Room mode with Torkoal and Ursaluna, right? The double Luna idea. So Behzad is saying, I don't want to do that. I'd rather play a little bit more faster and play a little bit more balanced, right? So that's what they have here. So you've got the Roaring Moon with the Acrobatics knockoff Tailwind set. The Urshifu with Taunt is huge here because, again, you can't really Aqua Jet in your own Psychic Terrain. But Taunt can shut down a lot of setup moves. It can shut down potential Trick Room thoughts from the opponent if they don't have any redirection support. And then, you know, Landorus and Ogerpon Heartflame are, you know, just your matchup-specific mons. Again, Landorus, pretty good against the Miraidon stuff there. It's pretty good against like other Ogerpons, pretty good against Incin, right? And then the Heartflame here, again, if things want to bring Rillaboom against the Indeedee stuff to remove your terrain, you know, in favor of theirs, then this is where Ogerpon Heartflame looks really good, because now you pressured the Rillaboom and your grass attack is stronger because they brought the Rillaboom against you, right? And then the Roaring Moon, again, this is just your fast mode. It's a dark type. It can pressure the Shadow Rider, which is really nice. And then the Fire, Water, Grass cores have a hard time dealing with the Dragon typing from the Roaring Moon. So this is a pretty smart way of using this kind of Lunala team. So I like it a lot. And it's nice to see that it was able to take a regional here. Then we go down to Alejandro's team here, right? And, you know, the Indeedee Smeargle idea is also something that we put out recently, you know, for a rental. You know, let me just show you that. Again, this is just like a little bit over a week ago that we put this out here. So same thing here, right? We've got the Calyrex, we've got the Smeargle, right? And then you have a Redirector and then an Ogerpon, right? And that's exactly what Alejandro was doing over here. But instead, what you're going to have here is Hatterene and Gallade, you know, taking the place of those last two slots here. So you've got the Indeedee core here. Again, another Redirector support. And then you've got the Smeargle that can click Decorate under Trick Room, which means it gets to go first, and your Calyrex can go for these +2 Glacial Lances. And then the Torkoal, the Specs Torkoal can just come in and melt things with Eruption, right? But then, look at this. You've got Hatterene here to really pressure the Dark types that want to click, you know, their Dark moves against the Calyrex here. And so you can use that, you know, for Fairy pressure damage. And then the Gallade, of course, is really good against something like Incineroar, because if you just remove the Gallade and just look at these 5 mons, it's hard to damage the Incineroar unless you're clicking high horsepower here. Now, Imprison was really, really cool against the mirror, because now what can the other Calyrex-Ice Rider do? Nothing. And we got to see this on stream. All they can really do is just click Protect. So if you can just imprison that, you can beat the mirror in this way. So this is a really, really cool smart tech from Alejandro. Shoutouts to them. But other than that, you know, look at this upper hand Gallade here with Psycho Cut, Sacred Sword, again, ignoring those Dondozo buffs, of course. But all in all, really, really cool and innovative way with these last 2 slots here for a Calyrex-Ice Rider team. Technically, these 2 Pokemon, they're always on a lot of these hard Trick Room teams, okay? But it's the first time we're like really seeing them together on a Calyrex-Ice Rider team. So again, shout outs to Alejandro for finding the pattern there. Then as we go down, look at Chase's team. So this one is a little bit of a different Miraidon team than Luca's team that we've been used to seeing for a while now. You still have the Whimsicott, you still have the Farigiraf here, of course. So that core hasn't really changed. But now we add a little bit of a Trick Room core here with Farigiraf and the physical Ursaluna rather than the Blood Moon. All right, and then you still have Instant Urshifu for, you know, just two of your top 3 Pokemon in the format. Fake Out Surging Strikes is broken. Assault Vest Incineroar is also really cool here. Again, with U-Turn, what you could do is just hard switch your Miraidon, and then, you know, just click U-Turn on Incineroar and bring back in your Miraidon and reset terrain if you have to do it, right? Or if you need to reset an attack that you click with Choice Spec. So I do like that idea. It's almost similar to like the Raging Bolt clicking Volt Switch, right? In terms of resetting weather for something like Koraidon. So AV Instant can technically do that here. You could do like Farigiraf Incineroar leads, just, you know, fake out Trick Room, Parting Shot into Ursaluna potentially, right? And this is just also really good into the mirror. It's also pretty decent into the Shadow Rider, because again, the Astral Barrage has a hard time of hitting the Ursaluna because you are normal type. So I do like this idea from Chase, and it's something that we have seen leading up until this point in Vancouver. So nice to see a very, very strong result there. And then finally over here, Alex Chien is doing Terapagos the Clover way. I've said this in a lot of different videos. Listen, this Calm Mind idea with Pagos, yes, it's okay, but I think Kyogre does that job better. Play the Pagos with Tailwind and Specs. Play this thing more aggressive and you will be rewarded. And Alex finally has listened and says, yes, Clover, you are correct. That is the way to play Pagos right here. So aggressively, right? So Tailwind with Choice Specs here, Terra Starstorm, Dark Pulse, Earth Power, Hyper Beam. We, you know, more times than not, you're clicking this. Sometimes the Dark Pulse for the, you know, the Calyrex matchups here. And then after that, it's just good stuff. You know, just 4 of the top 12 Pokemon here. Again, your Farigiraf is going to help you into Trick Room. You have the Landers for your Miraidon matchup. The Ogerpon, Heartflame, and Urshifu gives you a nice solid Fire, Water, Grass core here. So all in all, you've got what you need. Now, of course, with Pagos, you always have to watch out for, like, again, another Urshifu, another Zamazenta. But look at what you have for Zam. You have the Landers, you have the Ogerpon here, and then Whimsicott can just give you more speed control advantage, right? So you have ways to deal with Zom and potentially even like other Urshifus and other fighting types. That's why you have this fairy coverage over here, right, with the Whimsy. So all in all, you have enough where as long as you're in the right position, you can fight a lot of different teams here, even with a hyper offensive team like Alex. So shout outs to Alex for doing relatively well at top 4 there. James, of course, he's doing the Clefairy Mienshao balance stuff. Of course, protect the king, set up nasty plot, and go ahead and sweep. Nothing else you really have to wonder about that. And of course, you get that wide guard support really good into the mirror. But what's really cool about this team, you know, is actually the set on the Clefairy. You don't really see Icy Wind all that often. Okay, it does get it. All right, and sometimes it finds a niche, but no one has really been able to, you know, take advantage of it. And this is James's main form of speed control, right? The Icy Wind here. And then the Heal Pulse is actually pretty cool too. You can just heal the Calyrex, get it back to full health here. You could even, you know, seldomly, I would guess, heal the Ursh, Rillaboom, and Mienshao, get the Sash back here. But keeping your team healthy like an Amoonguss definitely makes a lot of sense here. So nice niche there with the Clef. All right, Ian. All right, how about Ian's team, Ian Holdeman? So a little bit more of a traditional Calyrex-Ice Rider team, a little bit more balanced. You've got the Instant Amoonguss Calyrex here, of course. Again, just your defensive backbone with these two guys. Give me an Urshifu. You know, might as well give me that Fire, Water, Grass core here. And then the Raging Bolt. Again, Bolt Beam coverage, you know, with electric and ice moves here. And then the Cornerstone, just another good redirector along the Amoonguss. Very, very standard and very traditional Calyrex kind of team here. All right, and then as we round out the last two here, this one is a little bit more of an aggressive Calyrex, you know, just going, again, Tailwind with Life Orb and Nasty Plot here. So you do have the Fake Out and the redirection to try and do this. So it will still pay dividends here. Again, it's just all about positioning. But again, another way of playing the Shadow Rider, you know, just taking out one piece and just adding Tailwind Whimsicott can make a huge difference. And then down here, Giovanni Chesk. This is a little bit more of a traditional Koraidon team as well, right? With the Protosynthesis mods with Raging Bolt and Flutter, the Ogerpon Chiyu, we've seen this before, and then the Ditto gives you something to be able to bring out into those Ice Rider teams here. You know, we've seen this variant for a while now. We just haven't seen it get this high of a result up until now. So shoutouts for Gio for very good play and making this kind of thing work here. And, you know, shoutouts for not well, there's nothing wrong with Wolfglick's team here, but you know, a lot of people were trying to use that team, and when we were just playing them online, we just beat it every time. You know, again, there's a difference between Wolfglick playing Paris Trap and somebody else playing Paris Trap. Okay, I say that many times. Okay, and if they don't know your line, if you don't know the lines, you're gonna get your butt kicked. Okay, and I do like this kind of Koraidon team a little bit better than the Paris Trap stuff there. It just follows a little bit more conventional norms in terms of, you know, positioning stuff. Okay, but anyway, so look at the variance in the top 8. Okay, you've got one Lunala. All right, you've got 2 Shadow Riders. You've got 2 Ice Riders. You've got 1 Miraidon. And you've got 1 Terapagos. That's a lot of different restricteds, okay? And look at how many niche mons here that we have here, right? You've got Hattery, you've got Gallade over here, and then you even have the Clefairy and the Mienshao, you know, reaching top cut here, right? So then there's a Ditto. Well, Ditto we've seen before, but again, there's some cool variants with some of these niche options. We're gonna go through some of them just like what we did in day 1. But nice to see that regulationG is not dead just yet. There's still room for innovation, okay? And there's still room to make stuff work. And again, we're just less than 2 months until the format is done. So nice to see that there are still things that can be explored if you're willing to explore such things, okay? So now let's look at cores and let's see some commonalities with some of the archetypes. And let's see if we can identify more formulas as far as like what is working right now today. All right, for your Calyrex-Ice Rider teams, they're following standard conventions. There's just a couple ways to go about it. You can still build around with Incineroar Amoonguss. Again, your defensive backbone, really going to help you set up Trick Room, help you position. This is very classic, right? Then you could even just do stuff like this with the Smeargle, all right? And then you have the Indeedee over here. Okay, and then usually the back end will either have the Torkoal or it will have the Blood Moon Ursaluna for a little bit more special attacking offense, right? This is just another way to do it. Not necessarily both, although you can put both, but ideally this is just the other way to approach it. Again, double redirection, you know, decorate, make any of these options just do a ton of damage with their spread move, right? And then you can go the other direction. Instead of, you know, Torkoal Sun, you can go like Pelipper Rain, where you can have Pelipper Urshifu. So now you can enable the Urshifu this way. And then at the same time, you know, you take away one of Calyrex's weaknesses, which is, again, fire type damage. Your Pelipper also has Wide Guard support. So this way you can, you know, preserve your Calyrex against something like Astral Barrage there. And then at the same time, this is just going to do a little bit more damage, right? And then we've also seen stuff like with, you know, Pelipper and then adding the Landers here, right? Landers, Pelipper stuff. Again, just enabling this in the rain. And then you get another Miraidon matchup over here. So lots of interesting pieces that you can technically do here with some of these Calyrex teams. And of course, you know, with Raging Bolt as another partner, you just get like Bolt Beam coverage, you know, amongst these guys. So, you know, pick and choose your core with Ice Rider, right? So, you know, we've already looked at Alejandro's and Ian's team here. Tuong, right? More or less the same idea. Yeah, again, the Landorus, Instant Amoonguss idea with Fergaf as another Trick Room setter, you know, denying priority stuff. Look at this. Iron Ball Urshifu. This is really important. This is also why I wanted to look at this team too. So, if you don't remember what Iron Ball does, it just halves your speed, right? So this is almost like that idea where you want the Urshifu to sweep under Trick Room, and it's probably Brave Nature at the same time, right? So like Brave Natured Urshifu is something to consider here. You can also see sometimes Bandit Urshifu with the Brave Natured idea as well. So you can do that too, but nice to see Iron Ball Urshifu actually get a really strong result here at Vancouver. Then look at Joshua here using the Ogerpon Focus Sash Defiant version. Not Hard Flame, not Cornerstone, not even Wellspring. We're just going Grass Ogerpon here with Ivy Cudgel and Superpower, along with Follow Me and Spiky Shield here. So that is another interesting choice there. I'm very curious why, you know, we don't even have a non-Amulet Calyrex. So what are we deterring in terms of Intimidate? And what is this Ogerpon for? I guess the speed boost, you know, just to get an advantage there and outspeed things and then just go for like big Ivy Cudgels, I would imagine. But I'm curious as far as like why we chose the Ogerpon Defiant version onto this kind of team there. Okay, and then like we mentioned, earlier with the Kyogre stuff, right? The Annihilate. This is the final gambit coaching stuff. Just take out something, click Trick Room, bring in the Blood Moon, start clicking Blood Moon and Glacial Lances, and until the cows come home. U-turn instant also with AV is another nice choice for something like this. And then look at Destin Edwards over here. The Pelipper, Urshifu idea, just enabling the physical mode here. You got still the defensive backbone, right? So we basically have a couple cores here. And then slap on the Raging Bolt. Again, this is like one of the first Calyrex-Ice Rider teams to debut in Regulation G 1 year ago, okay? And then it's still good even right now. So it just goes to show you, if you just surround the Pokemon with like busted pieces, it'll still like do well moving forward. But then look at this one. This is like the more balanced way with like the Flutterfish idea. So you've got Amoonguss, you've got Cornerstone here, even Urshifu Rapid Strike, but then you have the special attack damage coming here with Fluttermane Chiyu. This is going to be pretty good pressure against a lot of different leads too. You've got Heat Wave, you got Snarl here, Dazzling Gleam here. You got lots of damage coming out here. Like Dazzling Gleam plus Heat Wave is strong. Okay, there's not too many things that want to be able to take that. And, Covert Cloak Chiyu with Taunt is very underrated, especially like Grass Terra here. So that's just another idea that you can do. Brian Collins here. Again, the Torkoal, Smeargle stuff. We've seen this many, many times already. And then this one is a little bit more of an older idea, with Reggie Lecky Landorus. Why not just put Raging Bolt here? But Lecky, of course, outspeeds a lot of the format, actually the entire format. You can slow down the Ice Rider and then let your Landorus potentially outspeed it and KO. But other than that, there's one other team that I wanted to spotlight that was a little bit unique from the others, and that one was Kian Campbell's team here. We're going Tornadus fast mode with this Ice Rider team here. Look at this. It's Torn, Chenpao Ursh, and then Heartflame stuff, and then you could even just put in Kyogre on something like this, right? But instead we're going Calyrex here. I don't know what Kian is, EV spreads are, but if you go Jolly Calyrex, okay? And then you click Tailwind, this outspeeds the Shadow Rider, okay? Which is kind of cool when you think about it. So I don't know if that's exactly what Keen was doing here, but at the very least, you do have a fast mode and you do have a Trick Room mode at the same time there. So again, lots of well-established Calyrex teams. Even this one, right? I think this is the Justin Tang variant / Shiliang from Olivia, right? So, that is still in play here. But there's like at least 5 different cores that I showed you with Ice Rider that have been proven to be successful. So pick one if you're interested in using it. All right, so let's look at some of these Miraidon teams here. So would there be other kinds of Miraidon squads besides the Luca Terabelli World Championship team? Yes, I do see it there, but there's some different cores here that you can look at. So we already talked about Chase's team. That's already like one kind of variant that you could do. Look at Joe's team here, okay? So Joe is using Grimmsnarl, Offensive Volcarona, Terra Poison Urge, and then the Ditto here. And he kept the Iron Hands pairing along with Miraidon here. So Joe is saying, I don't need Trick Room with the Fergraph stuff. I can just play a little bit more bulkier by just giving my entire team screen support, okay? And then at the same time, you have another win con with the Volcarona. So if you can have Fake Out and screens and set up this Volcarona, that could be your win con. He has another win con, okay? He's got Swords Dance Urshifu, okay? Swords Dance Urshifu is scary, okay? So if this even gets one off, now imagine bringing the Iron Hands in, and now you can do Fake Out and then +2 Surging Strikes. That is KOing a lot of different mods. Look, it's also Mystic Water, okay? And then Terra Poison, that's going to neutralize the flying weakness, the grass weakness, resist the fairy weakness, okay? Same thing, with just the electric weakness too. So, Poison, very good Terra for this Ursh here. So Swords Dance with this setup is looking pretty scary if you think about it here. And then the Ditto can just copy a free restricted, okay? It can also help you out in like the Ice Rider matchup for that matter. So the fact that you can just bring in another restricted besides Miraidon, you can have 2 Miraidons, okay, is a little scary there. So this is a pretty cool idea and squad from Joe. So you can definitely play like this if you so choose. Then how about this one from Aaron Brock? So, there's other Iron Treads variants with Miraidon here. It just all depends on how you want to do it. You're going to have to give up your Tailwind mode, right? So just like Joe, he gave up Tailwind. He says, I want to do something else. And I'm still going to keep Furgraf. I'm still going to keep Iron Hands. That part of the team won't change. But now we add Iron Bundle for a secondary Core Drive user. If Koraidon can have 2 Photosynthesis Mons, Miraidon can have 2 Core Drive Mons. That's what this team is saying. And the bundle, you know, if you remember your speed tiers, right? Let me just take this off the board for a second. Remember Iron Bundle's speed tier and who exactly outspeeds. Let me put this on the screen for you. Okay, Iron Bundle, 136. Guess who he outspeeds? Outspeeds Fluttermane, outspeeds Chenpao, right? These are both base 135. So the fact that you outspeed these guys by 1 point, which means your Icy Wind goes first, and then your Miraidon can outspeed and then just go for glory is huge there. So Iron Bundle looking really good here, especially if you can get that speed boost going. And then, of course, Incin, Furgraf, Iron Hand stuff. Like, again, your defensive backbone. Iron Treads, great into the mirror. You know, high horsepower with, you know, Steel Roller, Rock Slide. Again, Choice Band, really, really going to hurt. So this is also, you know, very nice from Aaron there. And then look at this, an Annihilate at 44.73. Look at this. Okay, you still... All right, so now we're adding the Tailwind mode back. We've got the Ursaluna. We're putting back Ogerpon Heartflame just in case for the Rillaboom matchup. But look at the ape here, okay? It's like traditional Annihilate setup, bulk up Annihilate here with Drain Punch and Rage Fist, which is quite interesting. Okay, we haven't really seen a whole lot of Annihilate in Reg G outside of that Choice Scarf Final Gambit coaching set. So now we're finding another use for this Annihilate here, and it's nice to see. Again, Terra Water, a good typing there, just to be able to resist some of its weaknesses there. But I'm curious to know how often did Eric use and bring the Annihilate over here. But AV Instant, again, same idea with the U-turn, being able to reset your terrain there and being super bulky about it. I love it a lot, and I think I want to try that, you know, for an April rental for Miraidon here. But anyway, and then the niche mons does not stop. Blake Silver 7-3 with the Talonflame. Okay, this looks like any other Luca Terabelli Miraidon. No, I stand corrected. I was gonna say this looks like the same Worlds team, but it's just a Talonflame instead of Whimsicott. But then I remembered, oh look, it's Volcarona coming yet again. Volcarona, a good matchup into Koraidon, by the way. Same thing with Zamazenta here. So it's Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, Leftovers, Heat Wave. So a little bit more of an offensive set here. Same thing, just like what Joe is using. And then the Talonflame priority, Gale Winds, Brave Bird, nuking, and Urshifu nuking a Whimsicott, okay? Or nuking even a Rillaboom is actually quite huge there. So I love the idea. And then look at this Furgraf Baton Pass, you know, just being able to pass up your defense boost to something like, you know, either Iron Hands or something like Miraidon here. You can give them a defense boost and whatnot, and which is kind of cool when you think about it. You get a free switch there. You can reset terrain if you have to. And then this is just like Sash Urshifu there. So Blake having, you know, an interesting choice and using the Talonflame over something like a Whimsicott there. Would love to hear the reasoning on how Blake decided on that. I don't know if Blake is watching, but if he is, I would love to know the reason. And then, of course, your Luca teams are down here. That's just Joe's team again. Now, I know this team got 5-3. Actually, this one, too, also got 5-3. But I still want to look at it just because it's also a little bit different. You still have Grimmsnarl here with Incin and Iron Hands, but look at this. You got Pelipper, Landorus here. We've seen this combination before on, like, the Calyrex-Ice Rider teams. But now we have it here on this Miraidon team. And look at this. You know, this is Calm Mind Miraidon with Electric Seed, okay? So you're getting the defense boost and you're getting the special defense boost. Now you add double fake out and screens. This Miraidon can set up for days and sweep you. And look at this. This is Parabolic Charge. We just used this on the channel. Remember that? You know, Parabolic Charge Miraidon just does so much damage. You get a lot of healing, okay? And then this thing just never dies. And you get a natural ground type that you can put next to this. So I kind of understand it. And then look at this Pelipper here. You have Wide Guard, so you can, you know, do it next to yourself. And then Terra Ground still. So this way you can just Terra and not have to click Wide Guard and just, you know, use an attacking move to try and pick up a KO. And how about Roar Incineroar? Yo, yo, you can't tell me that's not for like Muck Smeargle stuff. That's obviously not. It's like for the I would imagine like setup, right? Roar all of that out, or just, you know, deny the pair stuff, right? So this is a pretty cool team. And again, even though it went 5-3, I still respect the 5-3. You know, you're just one win away from day 2. and they had a pretty good close out there, winning 3 out of 4 there. Just a little bit unlucky in the middle rounds there. But shout outs to Sam Hopkins, man. Great job there. And then, of course, I thought we would see more of these Assault Vest Miraidon with these Dondozo Tatsugiri teams. Again, pretty impressive. If you don't have something with like Clear Smog or Haze, it can get a little bit difficult. But other than that, it's still like pretty manageable if you do have those tools. So it just all depends on the player and the positioning that they have. But again, nice to see, different kinds of Miraidon teams besides the Luca team. For Kyogre, these 4 are still my favorite way to play the Ogre, with these last 2 slots, depending on what I think is fit for the meta at the given moment there. But, it's actually pretty standard, pretty boring, just to look at a Kyogre team like this. You know what you're doing with Tailwind, Water Spout here. You got the physical aggression on this side over here, able to pressure both Raging Bolt and Rillabooms that want to be able to click Thunderclaps and Grassy Slides into the Kyogre, so Champel can do that well. Physical Breaker in the rain. I meant the other Urshifu, of course. But would we see the same formula at Vancouver? So let's take a look here. Funny enough, a lot of these top placing teams with Kyogre don't have Water Spout. And that says a lot. So again, the popular way right now is that Origin Pulse Calm Mind setup. If we look at Ryan's team here, aka Sableye, best performing Kyogre here. This looks like the Oliver Escalin variant, right? With Origin Pulse, Ice Beam, Calm Mind. Again, defensive backbone here with Instant Amoonguss, but relatively standard stuff here, right? And then as you go down here, this almost looks like a little bit of a hybrid of Justin's team from last year. You have the Grimmsnarl with the Wo-Chien. So this way you're able to just heal your Kyogre up with Pollen Puff. Same thing with Amoonguss. Keep it healthy and then keep it, doing a ton of damage. You can just wall out a lot of the attackers, especially when you have Instant on your team, when you can just keep reducing physical damage. And then Kyogre can just heal any kind of damage that it would take right back up with Grassy Terrain and the leftovers here. And of course, you've got the screens to make everything relatively bulky. But that's another way of playing the Ogre right now. So Rafa, right? Again, similar idea. Still relying on the double fake outs, the screens, the redirection here. Give me my tools to set up Calm Mind and let me sweep you. That's what Rafa is saying. Now, Pangy is, he's pretty much brought this team for like, I don't know, 10 tournaments already. He's gotten day 2. He's got a real streak of day 2 here. But he likes the same core that we like. Then Serena, of course, just denies priority against the Kyogre. And then Rillaboom is just too good not to run, especially against Miraidon teams, going crazy. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Kyogre squads within day 2 here. But a couple of these 5-3 teams, is again, I still also want to look at here. For example, look at Marcus's team here, with Maushold and Annihilate. What economy are we in, Marcus, that we're running Maushold here with AV Annihilate? Yo, we playing the global challenge here? But I respect it, and I used AV Annihilate for a hot minute. But, Endeavor's also pretty cool. Just bringing things down to 1 HP because they want to get rid of your Whimsicott. I can totally see it. And then, of course, Choice Scarf Ogre, not even needing to rely on the Calyrex-Shadow Rider. You can just go for Water Spout and just KO potentially, right? So, shoutouts to Marcus for a valiant effort there. And then, look at these teams here, right? Again, Matt over here with Indeedee, Iron Crown, Sidespam with Kanto Moltres with Roar, okay? And it has Tailwind. This is crazy, okay? And it's got Hurricane too, which is accurate in the rain, believe it or not. So, I guess it can pressure Rillabooms too, right? Because you are a fire flying type. You have 100% accurate rain. Same thing with Landers here. So I guess it's just all positional based. Do you want Ogre Lando or do you want Ogre Moltres here, right? Just clicking Hurricanes. So I can see it. And then you know what you're doing with the Indeedee Side Spam stuff. And then you have the option to click Trick Room against those Tailwind teams if the time comes. So very cool there. But other than that, the cores for Kyogre are relatively the same. The one other squad I also want to look at that I kind of skipped here was Scott's team here. This has Lightning Rod Rhyperior, right? Remember when we used Lightning Rod Rhydon in about a video about 2 weeks ago with one of those San Antonio teams, right? And then it had Rhydon, a Violet, okay? But this time we're saying we're going to keep the Terra Fairy. We're actually just going to use Rhyperior, so this way we don't have to rely on Swords Dance damage. We could just rely on our pure damage and then just go for these Rock Slides, these high horsepowers, and Earthquakes, especially next to Tornadus here, where you can just, damage both Mons and then from there, you could just sweep with Kyogre in the end game. So I do like that idea from Scott. But again, you've got a couple of niche mons. You got a couple of ways to really bring out Kyogre's full potential. It just all matters on the partners. The other thing you just got to keep in mind, how do I get my Ogre to outspeed things if I'm going Water Spout route? Or if I'm going Origin Pulse, how can I set this up and take the least amount of damage possible? And how do I mitigate damage coming in, right? So you've got screens, you've got Intimidate Sport, you've got Redirection. All these things help the Calm Mind or Kyogre setup to help you sweep. And your leftovers and Rillaboom terrain recovery, that's just going to help you get more HP over time, especially after you click Protect. It's just more recovery, right? So I do like it, and it's very strong right now, so you have to give it a go if you haven't done so already. So with these Shadow Rider teams, you can kind of tell now that people are opting to play a little bit more aggressive, especially with the Tailwind support, but still maintaining some balance elements. So this way you can still set up Nasty Plot and Sweep, right? So we've already covered like James and Zachary's team here, but look at James Evans' team down here, right? So this almost looks a little bit like one of our rentals, right? But actually, we don't have a Chew here. So you've got Tornadus, Chien-Pao, Ursh, right? The very classic hyper offensive core. Give me these three, slap on a restricted, give me a Mungus, and then this last slot is up for grabs. You could put anything here almost, and they've opted to go for the Ogerpon Cornerstone. Helps a little bit more in trying to set up Nasty Plot. Sturdy is busted, as we all know. So you basically have two Sashmons here, okay? And then you've got Rain Dance to enable the Urshifu. And then the Amoonguss just gives you something to play in Trick Room. And then, of course, it's more redirection to try and set up the Nasty Plot, right? So then you go to Ian. Similar ideas here, but now we're adding Smeargle. Again, look at what you can do here with the Smeargle instead of the Ice Rider here. So you don't necessarily decorate, but look at this. Follow Me, Wide and Spore, and Fake Out. You got 4 of the best support moves in the format. Okay, and you also have a Clefairy here. So, like, this is kind of annoying when you think about it. And then you're still adding Fake Out pressure with Urshifu, Surging Strikes, and then Tornadus, of course, is another support mon. You got 3 support mons, 2 physical options, and the Calyrex just looking to click Nasty Plot. But look what Ian is saying. Look, I've got Giga Drain here, man. So, think about how much chip I'll be taking with, like, Life Orb and, trying to set up Nasty Plot. And then what we're saying now is if we add Rillaboom to this, along with Terra Grass, Giga Drain, maybe I can get a little bit more recovery, and then I can, start one-shotting stuff like Urshifu, right? And even Pelipper, technically. So this is pretty cool. I may want to try this later. Just instead of, like, Draining Kiss, you go for Terra Grass, okay? And then just go that way. And then at least you get some immunity to, like, the Rillabooms and the Munguses, right? So something was brewing there from Ian. So shout out to them. Another Smeargle Calyrex team here. Same set. Spore, Fake Out, Wide Follow Me. Give me good stuff with Urshifu, Rillaboom, Raging Bolt here with Calm Mind. Okay, so look, we got 2 Calm Mind users here. No, I'm sorry. We got 2 setup mons here. Calm Mind Bolt is not crazy, but it's a little bit more uncommon versus like some of the other Raging Bolt builds. But we spoke about this in our day 1 recap video. But nice to see like how far they made it here. But you have a lot of options to try and set this up here. So double, triple Fake Out, with redirection here, okay, is kind of cool in trying to do that. Then you got Yotam's team here, okay, just going with the Flutterfish. You don't see too many teams, with Calyrex and Fluttermane on the same team, but it can still work, right? Of course, Chiyu just makes the Calyrex and the Flutter do a little bit more damage. Flutterfish combinations. A little bit of Fire, Water, Grass slapped on here. Nasty Plot. Terra Dark Shadow Rider, by the way. So we've seen normal, we've seen grass, we've seen dark. Okay, you can also technically run Fairy at the same time. But look at Ryan's team over here. By the way, Terra Ghost and Sash. So all the more damage. Sash Calyrex, Life Orb going on the Landers here. Double Genie idea, right? And then Urshifu, so Rain Dance, Tailwind stuff here. But then you slap on AV Tinkaton, okay? Fake Out Mold Breaker into Ferrograph is kind of funny, right? And then just raw offense with Gigaton Hammer, Play Rough, and then Feint breaking stuff like, Protect and Wide Guard and whatnot. So if they want to protect in front of the Calyrex, I got news for you. You can't really do that now because of Feint. So this is pretty cool from Ryan. We spoke about that more in our day 1 recap. But look at Zines down here. Look at this one. So this almost looks like one of our rentals, right? Where we put it out on the channel with like Tornadus, Chi-Yu, and Ursh. But look what they have here. Besides the common four that we have, now we have Life Orb Chien-Pao and the Sash Calyrex-Shadow Rider. That's the second Shadow Rider that we've seen go Sash. Okay, and now we're taking the Sash away and going Life Orb Chien-Pao for a little bit more damage. Quite interesting. Okay, you know, you can EV, you know, stuff like Raging Bolt to survive Chien-Pao ice attacks. And I would imagine now with the Life Orb, you just ruin all kinds of calcs like that. So, and you know, some other things may want to be able to survive Urshifu stuff with Chien-Pao on the field. But now you add Life Orb on the Chien-Pao, and now that your calc just goes out the window. So I do like this. This is actually pretty cool. So shout outs to Zine for doing well with that. And then one more 7-3 squad down here with Montana. Looks like it's standard Clefairy stuff with Pelipper Ursh. Yeah, it pretty much is. Here's the Terra Fairy Calyrex that we were vouching for. So all these Terra options having some good viability. And then again, Draining Kiss here as opposed to something like Giga Drain there. But you can kind of see how you want to build the Shadow Rider team. You know, just give me those support options like Instant and Rillaboom. Give me a Tailwind user. All right, maybe I want a Clefairy or an Ogerpon, but at the same time, that's your 4. Okay, your last 2 is like up for grabs. And then you still have people still running the Dondozo variants. Now you got to see them fall a little bit out of favor here. This is the Tinglu Dondozo stuff, you know, with Stealth Rock and Sand Tomb trapping with Yawn Pressure, right? So 6-4. And then there was another one down here, same thing. This one with the Iron Hands instead. But again, another Sash Calyrex, okay? So are we seeing a little bit more of a progression now and just adding the Sash here? Maybe, who knows? But, you know, they're down here. But one more that I want to cover. Shoutouts to Michael Zhang, bro. Look at this. Terrakion in this meta, okay? We've got Roaring Moon. We've got Indeedee. We've got Whimsicott, okay? D-Dance Roaring Moon, though. It's not Tailwind Roaring Moon. We saw this on stream. So, you can do, like, Indeedee Roaring Moon leads and just go for, like, Follow Me Dragon Dance. Bring in Whimsicott, click Tailwind, and then, you know, Roaring Moon just outspeeds everything anyway. So a little bit more of an offensive Roaring Moon. And then look at this Terrakion here. You know, you got beat up Terrakion in this generation, right? In this generation. This is not Dynamax or anything like that. Okay, so Terrakion, you can switch this onto a dark move, especially ones that are going for the Calyrex kill. And then you just give yourself a justified boost, right? And then +1 Rock Slides with Life Orb, or even double kick here, Breaking Sash. That's pretty cool here. But this is also going to put pressure on those Chien-Paos and those Incineroars. So I would not want to face that if that is my answer to Calyrex-Shadow Rider. So, and you know, 5-3, not the greatest result, but it's still, again, 1 win away from day 2 there. So shout outs to Michael for taking it that far there. But yeah, you know, a lot of the cores, they're more or less the same. Couple niche options, right, that you saw. But for the most part, the formula hasn't really changed with the Shadow Rider. It's still Clefairy stuff. It's still Incin, Rillaboom, you know, get me my nasty plot ready with my fake out pressure. And then maybe I'll have a Mienshao. AV Tinkaton was development. Okay, but other than that, I can just play it hyper offensively with like Tornadus, Chi-Yu, and Urshifu. With Zamazenta, the 2 main dominant cores are still the same main two dominant cores, right? You got the Tomiyuki 6, as we say, you know, with Flutter Mane and Chi-Yu providing that special attack damaging offense. You've seen this already, also, you know, with the Calyrexes, both of them. And then from here, you can just slap on an Amoonguss. And then these last 2 slots are up for grabs, right? But then you can go the other direction, okay? And then you can go with something like Pelipper, right? And then add a Chien-Pao here, and then also still add an Amoonguss, right? So again, with Pao, you're making your Zamazenta do more damage. Pelipper, you're bringing out the rain here, reducing fire damage for all of these guys because they're all weak to fire. And then at the same time, you're getting that wide guard support along with Zamazenta. Doesn't always have to click wide guard here. So these are your 2 main dominant cores. So would we see anything else here? So let's look at rank 20 here from Jose Mena. We have seen Tinglu Zamazenta teams in the past just because you've already got physical attack damage reduction with Dauntless Shield. Now you're adding the special side by adding Tinglu here. And then you start employing, you know, Scream Tail, Encore, Disable ideas, bait out attacks, click Protect, disable it. Okay, Booster lets you outspeed everything. And then late game Ditto, copy or restricted for free. Thank you very much. Support Raging Bolt here with Snarl, so even more special attack damage reduction. So a relatively slower team, but a very bulky one. So shout outs to Jose for getting the highest ranked Zamazenta squad. And then Joshua over here, this is the Zom team that we were talking about. Like, give me Pelipper, Chien-Pao, Amoonguss. Last two's up for you. Very easy to slap on Urshifu if you have a Pelipper already. Raging Bolt here gives you that Bolt Beam coverage that we've been talking about with this and the Ice Rider. Very standard formula. But then what's not so standard is this thing down here. We'll get to Lucy's team in a second. Kanto Moltres with Tailwind support, Covert Cloak, Heat Wave, Air Slash. We saw Kanto Moltres earlier too, right? So a couple of Kanto Moltres. Again, Fire Flying, that's pretty good into Koraidon and Zamazenta, okay? Which is kind of funny when you think about it, because again, you can't click you can click a fighting move. It's just going to get resisted because you're a flying type. And then the fire move also gets resisted because Moltres is also a fire type, right? Zamazenta, same thing. Body press / the steel move, same reason. Both of those get resisted. So Moltres, it kind of funnily, just is able to sit in front of those two things and say, I don't care about these guys. I can do whatever I need. And then I can still pressure, stuff like Rillaboom. I can still pressure stuff like Amoonguss. And I can even pressure Urshifu because I have a flying type move there. So it's actually kind of funny when you think about it. The only thing that you have to worry about is more or less Incineroar, but you're not a physical damage dealer. So, the Intimidate's not going to bother you. You're just either doing, neutral damage into that thing, with the Moltres thing. But it's kind of funny, all things considered. It also has Flame Body, right? So, think about like Volcarona, where, one wrong physical move, you just burn yourself, right? But you got Tailwind, you got Icy Wind speed control here. And then, just Rilla, Ursh, Landorus stuff, again, Miraidon matchups, with Lando, Ursh, and then, Lando, Rillaboom, and then Ursh is your Calyrex, right? So, kind of cool team, with Shenkai. I wish they would make it public. I would like to use Kanto Moltres. Otherwise, I'll just bid one myself. All right, here we go. Tomoyuki 6 from these guys right here, right? So there's the Flutterfish. There's the Chien-Pao Ursh. Goggles Ursh, by the way. And then Amoonguss over here. So, yeah. And then how about the Entei Chien-Pao stuff? Okay, yeah, same formula. Again, we've seen plenty of these before. So it's still consistent, still solid. And then this one is a little different. Again, I know 5-3, but look at this. You got the Iron Crown variant. Iron Crown Size Spam with a Zamazenta core with Ursh, Whimsicott, and Ogerpon Heartflame here. But look at this. It's Misty Terrain Whimsicott, okay? Which is pretty cool. Just again reducing dragon type damage there. I don't get to go to sleep. I override Miraidon Terrain, which is good. So that's nice. And then from here, expanding forest, attacking cut, look again, Terra Ground. You get to nuke another Miraidon, of course. So this is another niche kind of build with Zamazenta, but again, it still works. So nice to see Kanto Moltres for sure, and we'll see if more people pick up on it later. So looking at these Terapagos teams over here, besides Alex's, Tailwind choice spec stuff, it's just all about the Heatran hype right now. So, I'll just show you the spread that we showed last time. So you can do like the Stealth Rock Heavy Slam stuff, or you could do the Zoom Lens Will-O-Wisp Heavy Slam idea. Or you could even do like the lesser of the three, the Iron Defense Body Press Heavy Slam, like budget Zamazenta more or less. But, the idea with Heatran on Terapagos is that, Koraidon gives Pagos a lot of trouble, right? So what you can do is just go Terra Fairy Heatran, and now you can't click a fire move because of Flash Fire, and you can't even click your fighting move anymore because now you're Fairy type and you get to resist both, right? So there's the benefit there. And then you could potentially just burn it if he doesn't go Terra Fire there. Heatran also does, with the Terra Fairy, also does well in front of Fluttermane and Chi, right? You can't click the fire move either. Shadow Ball / Fairy move, again, you're a Steel type, you're not gonna care too much about that either. So, and then you can just snipe them with Heavy Slam, and then lay out Stealth Rocks, Break Sash potentially. But you can sit in front of both of them and not really care a whole lot. Which is really, really nice when you think about it. So, just looking at all of these, just look at Abdullah's team here. Yeah, there's the Citrus Berry, Heavy Slam, Magma Storm, Earth Power, okay? And Protect, of course. And here is Pagos, Calm Mind substitute stuff. Good stuff trying to set it up here. Double fake out Resurrection. Taunt and Thunder Wave is also pretty cool here. But Heatran does have a role to play on something like that. Then another variant is Raghav Semir with the Scream Tail. This is the more traditional Heatran variant with Pagos, where you can lock things and go with Encore Disable, right? And more or less the same idea, just, one mon difference. Yushin Wan, by the way, same idea, but instead kicking the Heatran to the curb and going with Chenpao here, just looking for a little bit more damage with Rillaboom and the Cornerstone here. So that was interesting. And then this one, Ricardo, I know he went 5-3, but a little bit more bulkier. Still went with Specs, did not go Tailwind, went the other way with Grimmsnarl Screens, and then Iron Hands, Ursh, and Ogerpon Heartflame. So a little bit more bulk, a little bit more physical damage. You still have Terra Normal Fluttermane here to help you out. So goes into the fighting move, gets whiffed. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, all in all, some decent results here from Pagos. Not all that amazing, but this is where we're at right now with Terapagos. We'll have to see if there's more innovation moving forward besides just having a Heatran tech. We always leave a section for these guys, right? The B tier restricteds, more or less, the Zacians, the Lunalas, even though Lunala did win, right? And then Groudon teams here. And to an extent, you can even technically throw in Koraidon. Yes, we did have that top 8 result there, but there was one really cool Koraidon team that I still want to be able to spotlight here. But if we go back, what was really cool about the Zacian team was not the Zacian itself, but it was the support mods that was with it. So we covered this in the day 1 video, but Jean Ulysses finding a niche for Aaron Zhang's favorite Pokemon, Rotom-Wash. It's not his favorite Pokemon. It's just, I'm just making a little reference there. Rotom-Wash, okay, especially this set here, is kind of funny when you think about it. Levitate is good, okay, with something like Rotom-Wash here. You don't have any weaknesses, okay? You resist Glacial Lance, and you can't click High Horsepower. You know who else can do that? Bronzong. Bronzong can do that for you. But Rotom-Wash having that idea, and then at the same time, you have Foul Play and Will-O-Wisp. So like Foul Play really good against like the other Calyrexes. Will-O-Wisp, you can burn them, especially the physical one. And then like other strong physical attackers, you can burn them too. So it's just kind of funny when you think about it. And then when you go Terra Steel, you can't click a ground move anyway. And if you want to click a fire move, you have Rain Dance to kind of cover you. So like Rotom-Wash looking pretty cool here as like a little niche option in those Trick Room matchups, right? And then from here, look, oh, you got Okidogi as well. Like with Guard Dog here, you can't intimidate this thing. And then you can really put pressure against Incineroar with the Okidogi. So having good variants here. I'm sorry, viability. And then you got the double Genie with Urshifu idea, right? So shout outs to Jean for finding that niche with Rotom-Wash. Really, really cool. Okay. And then, just more or less after that, the Zacian stuff is just like Regidrago's standard things that we've seen before. Other Lunala teams besides the winning one here from another Alejandro right here. We got to spotlight this guy. Okay, 7-3. You're not flying under the radar. Grassy Seed Lunala. Okay, we talked about this in the day 1 video with Calm Mind. Look at this. Special damage reduction, physical damage reduction. More physical damage reduction, okay? And then you got healing with the Rillaboom Terrain, and you've got Goodra clicking, life do stuff. So that'll help you get back your Shadow Shield. So this is pretty cool. Like, this Lunala can also set up, again, with double fake out pressure here. The Pelipper, Urshifu stuff. This is a pretty cool Lunala team also. So shout outs to Alejandro. I really want to use this, especially with like Hisui and Goodra. With Sap Sipper, by the way. So that could come in handy if things want to click a grass move into the Urshifu over here. You could just time that switch in very, very well. Okay, that was pretty cool. Then Koraidon here. There was a pretty cool Koraidon team that also, besides Giovanni's team here, that had this. Okay, 7-3 loaded dice Koraidon with Scale Shot. Think about Scale Shot D-Knight back in Reg Age. Now you just do that with Koraidon, and now you can outspeed everything, right? And then it's support Volcarona with Tailwind and Rage Powder and Will-O-Wisp. Then you've got Gambit. You don't see any Gambit in Reg G. Urshifu just destroys this thing, right? But hey, it is a dark type. It still gives you something into the Shadow Rider. Somewhat of a Trick Room matchup. Walking Weight with Covert Cloak and Snarl is also pretty cool there, right? You get to have some pressure into the Shadow Rider / Miraidon stuff there. So, you know, all the more power to Walking Wake here. The Life Orb Flutter Mane with Terra Normal, with, you know, D-Gleam and Shadow Ball is also like pretty interesting. Again, in the sun, this thing is going to do a lot of damage, okay? Especially when you have special attack boost with Life Orb there. I don't remember if we saw this on stream. I may have missed it, but I'm not sure what the Flutter boost is, whether it's speed or special attack. But either way, this is a pretty cool Koraidon team here, because it's not just like Raging Bolt balance stuff with Flutter Mane here. We get to use Walking Wake here with, you know, full Corona and King Gambit here. So that's pretty cool. There was a Rhyperior Kyogre team that I overlooked when I was talking about it. But we did cover it in day 2. I'm sorry, in our day 1 video. Look at this, man. Lightning Rod, Rhyperior. This is your answer for Miraidon, because, again, they want to just zap the Ogre. By the way, this is AV Ogre, by the way. And then you can just, you know, do super effective damage, make it go Terra Fairy, and then you lose that Dragon typing, and now Kyogre can clean you up with its water moves here, right? So, yeah, there's some synergy here with Rhyperior too, and I kind of like that. So, there was one other Lunala team that I wanted to also look at. Oh, well, actually, besides that Lunala team, I think that was it. There was, Groudon. That's what I wanted to look at. I already just looked at Groudon. So, Toussaint, right? He had another niche mon here with Garganacl and Wide Guard support. Remember when we also added something there with Groudon when we made our rental about a couple weeks ago? We added the thick fat Hariyama with Fake Out and Wide Guard. So you can have Garganacl do the same thing. Well, except there's no Fake Out here. But Salt Cure, Recover, Wide Guard. Of course, again, the Wide Guard support. The Salt Cure forcing things to switch out. It's annoying. Mungus can't put you to sleep. You can't click Astral. You are that normal typing here. So Garganacl looking pretty cool here in this endgame. And then just, again, Raging Bolt, Volt Switch there. Able to reposition your Groudon Weather is really, really nice. Flutterfish, of course, for a lot of special damage there. So yeah, then you look at the rest of the stuff. This is like Jump Pluff stuff that is falling a little bit out of favor now. But hey, at the very least, we got to see a Garganacl in day 2. All right, but that's going to do it for our recap on Vancouver there. So, you know, quite the interesting results here. I'm curious to see where the meta goes now that we have like a little bit of an underrated, restricted, take it all the way. So we'll have to see a little bit more progression moving forward. But this is groundbreaking, right? Because, again, we're almost 6 months in, and we got a Lunala taking it all there, right? And it's not even double restricted yet. So, yeah. Anyway, if you're still trying to play in some locals, and you need help with team building, if you've got an upcoming regional still, we can help you out. So sign up for coaching on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one Discord call with me where we can build the team from scratch. And then hopefully we can get you something that you need for your next regional. If you have some locals coming up, or you have like an online tournament, or just want to get better and you just need something for ladder play, we can help you do that too. The tier 3 sub gets you that one-on-one session with me. You can join the Discord for free. That one's no charge, of course. But feel free to reach out if you need help, you know, just trying to create a feasible squad with like good solid EVs. And that is just what we do on the channel. That's our bread and butter. All right, but that's it. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.